Garrett, you were in the original SNL cast. That's unbelievable. So how different is this experience from working on a sketch show?
Actually, it's similar in the writing in that I've always said, and I really mean this, that the group of writers that Lauren had, I think this group of writers are pretty much equal to that group in my estimation. But there is a significant lack of ego trips on this show. There's much less stress, thank you, Jesus, from day to day. And on this show, there's a whole lot that happens that everybody might call crises, but it's not because of the professionalism of the group, which to me is just great. And when it comes to my character, when I checked it out and I saw that he had, a character that had a blues jazz background, I really have had a lot. My first experience was in music with a lot of guys like that. And, I hope I can say it, cocaine and heroin and marijuana were part of that thing. I was on cocaine for 30 years. I'm now 7 years off.
Yeah!
But when it comes to marijuana, remember, it's good for glaucoma. It's good for anxiety.
He's gonna be on a commercial.
And it's good for insomnia. I'm working on the glaucoma, but the other stuff I'm half down, okay? Anyway, it feeds me a lot of times mentally and psychologically what I'm doing with the character on stage.
That was a brilliant answer. Best soundbite I've ever heard in my life. That was amazing. Beth, going back to that first audition, what went through your mind when you stood across from this man who is such a genius?
I was freaking out about what I was wearing from Sex and the City. Obviously, I was a huge fan of his. And I remember calling my mom before the audition and being like, I don't even care if I get the part. I just get to meet Michael Patrick King, who did Sex and the City. So I was totally a fan. And Whitney Cummings as well. I knew her from Chelsea Handler. So I just basically was geeking out that I even got to meet them, let alone audition for them. And then obviously, they were so amazing in person. And they gave me my big break, and I'm forever grateful and so excited every day that I get to work with Michael and these amazing writers.
Garrett, you have something to add?
I was pretty much like the same thing because of Sex and the City, but I swear to God, no, and Michael sat there looking at me as I'm doing the audition, right? But I swear to God, I was wondering if my fly was open. And
why do you think you got the part?
Right. Anyway, that's.
And Kat, how about for you? When you knew you were working with somebody who's such a genius?
Oh, God. Well, this guy.
This guy.
We already worked together.
Oh, really?
When he gave me my first big role when I first started, when I was 13. I just turned 13, and he cast me in Sex and the City in the 3rd season. In an episode called Hot Child in the City, not that I know everything about that episode. And I'll never forget my audition for you. Actually, yeah, okay, so I came
First of all, it was Jenny
Breyer.
Yep. And the character she was the most sophisticated 13-year-old, and the episode was the Bar Mitzvah blowjob show.
Oh.
And the episode was based on a New York Times article where 13-year-old girls in New York were now constantly doing that as like a hello. So we needed a 13-year-old who could pull off everything about that.
Which was so funny because I was homeschooled and I lived in the woods. Anyway, so we had a TV, but I didn't have cable. I had no idea what Sex and the City was. And this was my first audition for something big, and everyone's like, this is very big. Do a good job. I was like, fine. And so I walk in there, and Michael's there, and I read from the sides, and Michael's like, come back in tomorrow, memorized. And I was like, fine, I will.
I say that every day.
He does. He's exactly the same as you. So in the cab ride home from the first audition, I was with my mom back to Penn Station. We passed a building with a Sex and the City billboard on the side. And I was like, oh my God, this is a big show. And so I come back the next day memorized, and you were like, okay. And I was like, right before I left, I'll never forget, I was like, well, I'll have my people call your people. And he hired me, and then my family got HBO just for that week. Just for that week. And then no more. No more.
If you ever see it, she's spectacular. And it's like,
What was the episode called?
it's called Hot Child in the City, and she's spectacular.
Oh my
in it.
God.
This is the greatest panel. We've talked marijuana, vaginas. I mean, we're covering it all.
We're very current.
We're very current.